Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
All right, Adrian, now get the fuck out of here and go eat your hot fried chicken in Dallas, where you're at.
Yeah. Where did he go?
It was work, and it was Dallas.
Where's he eating chicken? I don't give a shit.
Hattie B's.
Work. DB's?
Hattie B's.
Hattie B's. Okay.
Yeah.
That did look good.
Yes, it did.
I miss split lip chicken, like actual chicken. I mean, their chicken sandwich is still very good, but...
Are they not even doing that on the weekends anymore?
That was just like a special one-off, one-day only
God
thing.
damn it.
Yeah. That's why we went.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I heard that Music City Chicken is like working with True Brewing now.
Yes.
So I want to give that another try to see if it got any better or if it's still that weird crust that it had.
Yeah, I never had it because I didn't go on that Fort Collins trip. So
yeah. Well, it's just like, you know how Chipotle queso, it was like real grainy when it first started, and probably still is because I haven't had it since.
Yeah.
That one, the crust was grainy in a weird way. So
yeah, anyways.
Look, Adrian isn't here to guide us.
To stop us from talking about board games on our board game podcast?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
What have you been playing?
The only thing I really played, I played not board games. I've been trying to get through Horizon Forbidden West, and then I've been like going and doing things, like not game night.
Yep.
So the only thing I played was Cascadia, which was the first time I have played it since the Kickstarter delivered later last year. My coworker had it, and I had time to kill between the all-hands meeting yesterday and the long-delayed Avery holiday party, so I stopped by his place to change because it was nearby, and I didn't want to drive 55 minutes home and then back, and I had my shit with me anyways, so we just hung out there and we played Cascadia. Cascadia is where you draw tiles and then animal tokens, and then there's 5 different scoring objectives, and that is what kind of changes up the variability in the game because you have a different amount of strategy you can use, and then you get points for biggest chunk of wildlife or terrain, I guess you could call it. Get points for terrain, and then whoever has the biggest chunk of terrain. Like our scoring objectives in that one were like 10 points for each set of 3 bears you had, and then like foxes, you had to have 2 foxes, and then for every duplicate or every set of doubles you had adjacent to the fox, salmon that were in a run, basically you needed to make a line, but you couldn't put it into like 3 next to each other because it would be a group and not a line anymore, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Sets of elk in a certain orientation, and then you got a multiplier based on how many you had that were all also in that same orientation. And then hawks were easy. It's just groups of 1 hawk, not adjacent to any other groups of 1 hawk.
Oh, well, that works.
Yeah. I ended up losing, it was pretty close. It was 88 to 94, and he had gotten the salmon on his last draw because there are these nature tokens you get. There are certain tiles that are just all solid terrain type, but if you put and then they only have 1 animal type you can put on there. But if you match that, you get a nature token, and that lets you wipe out all of that wildlife tokens and replace them, or wipe out as many as you want and replace them. And he had 1 chance to wipe all 4. For a salmon token to come out on those 4, and he did. So,
good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Do you like the game?
Yeah, it's great. It's
Nice.
short.
Would you say that it's the 95th best game?
I would say it's pretty close.
Would
it
you
plays super? Huh?
Oh no, continue.
It plays super fast. Because you have 4 tiles with 4 wildlife tokens, and you're just picking a group of that. So you can't really change. So, if the salmon is above the tile that's not super useful for you, then, tough. But you can spend a nature token and take any animal token and any wildlife, wildlands token.
Gotcha.
So you can wipe or you can mix and match to your choice. And to stop there being like overloaded with any one animal type, there's an overpopulation rule. So if there's 3 of a kind, you can wipe those 3 and draw 3 new ones, but you can only do that once.
Gotcha.
If there's 4 of a kind, and then you can wipe all 4 and then draw 4 new ones, if you get another 4 of a kind, you can wipe them out again and draw 4 more again. So there's ways to kind of not get totally boned by having all the same type out and you're not ready for it because the wildlife token has to go on a specific tile that can take that wildlife, and if there wasn't any of that kind of tile out and you had to take a wildlife with it, then you couldn't just put it anywhere and you would have to just throw it back in the bag, and that's not ideal. This is that game I played at PAX Unplugged in 2019 for the prototype as well. This is the first time I've played it since then, but I remember really liking it then, and it's still really good now.
So you said it was the 95th best game. Would you say it is the best abstract game?
I mean, it's pretty light.
Yeah.
I think BGG has it like medium light to light.
I want to say it was 1.9.
Okay.
Yeah. So barely on
the lighter side of
towards
medium light.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a light medium light.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
but it's quick.
like.
I mean, it says 30 to 45 minutes. I would think it's shorter than that, but I guess with more, it's much shorter at two players, of course, because you're just going back and forth, and the game ends when you run out of tiles, so it's not like a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, but Cascadia is really good, and it was sold out for a long time, and then it finally got back into print. I met Randy Flynn when I did the prototype. Seemed like a cool guy. It's really kind of his. I think he had one other game, and that was who knows from when.
Let's see. He's got 4 games apparently. Oh no, it was that was a Kickstarter promo card, and then so it was a game called Tabriz.
I think that's gonna be coming out.
Oh, then that's the only thing he's been tied to.
Yeah. But Cascadia knocked it out of the fucking park. So
okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's been in my car for a long time. I just haven't, played it.
Right.
But yeah, it's good. Cascadia's good, and you should buy it. And it's cheap too. I think it's only like $35, $40 maybe.
Let's see.
Probably the only reason it would be super expensive right now is because it keeps selling out. So
let's see if Amazon has it at all. $41.
Yeah, I think it was like $39 or something on the Kickstarter.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that tracks.
I think GameFound is, what was it, Verdant?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, and I know you could get it with that as well.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really all I played. Oh
cool.
No, I did play Forbidden Island, and some Second Chance. First time I played Forbidden Island in a while, but I was teaching someone newer to board games about board game things, and I was like, well, Forbidden Island it is. And we won. 2 players. Shit was sinking fast. It just ended up with a weird player combo. If you're not familiar with Forbidden Island, it's basically Pandemic. It's by the same guy. But the role was the diver who could go across gaps, which I literally never used once.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, because I never needed to. And then we had the navigator or something. It was the one that could move another person 2 spaces on their turn. Which got used a couple times. But overall, it went pretty well. Shit got rough at the end, but we made it through. I top decked the fucking helicopter card. They got us to the helicopter pad, and I was like, all we got to do is just keep this afloat, and then I immediately top decked the other helicopter card, and then we just
there you go.
Yeah, got some Second Chance. I got fucked. I had 12 empty squares or something like that. It was basically the green shapes are always the biggest shapes,
Right.
And we got 2 green shapes, and then my second chance was another green shape, and I was fucked. And then the other person kept going, and they ended up filling in 100% of their board.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was 12-0. And I think that 12 was with a free single square that I got to make it not 13.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the board games I've played.
Okay. I was at game night, unlike you.
I was at Denver Beer Co. earlier that day. I just had to go to that show. I dropped off beer for the game night to the Mars staff, but
right, but you weren't there late enough for it to be night.
No,
for the board game night.
No,
part.
I was not. Because then I went to Call to Arms and drank there, which is right next to where the Oriental Theater is.
Gotcha. Yeah. I played. I got there and it was real crowded for some reason.
Because it was super nice out. And
yeah. People wanted to go out and enjoy.
Did they end up reserving tables at all?
No.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, no.
Gotcha.
It got better as the night went on, but
yeah,
it was real tight when we first got there. And I played a 4-player game of Letter Jam with Paul, Adrian, and Sean. That one is that's a fun. It's definitely one of the better word cooperative games.
Yeah.
So for that one, it's everybody starts with a 5. You have a stack of 12 cards that you look at. You make a 5-letter word out of 5 of those cards, and then you you shuffle those up, and you give them face down to the person to your right, and then they are going to have one card displayed in front of them of that stack, and so like Hanabi, where everybody else can see that that letter except for you. And then you're taking turns. There's a wild card in the center, and then there are 2 stacks of cards off to the side. At least with 4 players, it may be. I'm assuming it would be less with 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But you were going around. So you're using those letters and then everybody else's letters to try and make a word. Everybody has to at least give a word clue once. But I can do it 3 or 4 times if I want to. But it's usually along the terms of I can make a 5-letter word, and I can use one. The wild. Everybody's letter, and then one of the extra cards off to the side. You can't signify. I couldn't be I'm going to use a 4-letter word and it'll use Paul's letter. You can't signify specific stuff like that, but you can say everybody's or nobody's or all of those, or some of them, or you just say I'm going to use 2 people's letters. But anyway, once everybody gets the clue, you write it down. You have a little scratch paper basically that comes with the game to help you try and figure out your own word and your own letters. So if the word was if it was 6-letter word and then it was they used Paul's and I see that it was a B, and then they did 2 because there are tokens or little poker chip things that have numbered 1 through 8 or 9, I think. But if someone was giving a 6-letter clue,
are they fruit slices? Because
yes,
it's jam strawberry.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Yes. But if it was, I put it in front of Paul's letter and he had a B, and then it put number 2 and 3 on me, and then the 2 extra letters over there were TL, and then number 6 was back to me, I would write those down, question marks, where they were on me, and I'd figure, I probably have an E. And then I can put that card down, and then I put up another card of my stack of 5, and you're trying to work all your way through you're trying to work your way through all of those clues, or all of your letters before the clues go out, because they're worth points at the end of the game. The unused clues that you give out. And so it was interesting. We got I guess we did a lot better than Paul and Adrian. They played a game before us, I guess. But before I got there, and on the scoring sheet, it says you get 1 strawberry for getting 16 to 31 points, and then 2 strawberries for 32 to 50 or whatever, and it goes up from there. They're we got 13 points, so not even on the scoring sheet. They got below what you could get on the scoring sheet, according to them. But they might have been playing it wrong too. But apparently, like, nobody figured out their word. Nobody spelled out a right word.
Sounds impressive.
Yeah, it sounds impressive. It was impressive that they did that badly at it. That's like just throwing away blue ones when you need to play them, right?
Yeah, just like, I know we need to have this down on the board, but I'm just gonna discard it.
But I noticed how often, like, you'd give a clue. So I was giving a clue to Adrian, and he had a P. Like, his letter was P, and he didn't have it. He hadn't had any clues in the last couple hints that we gave out. Like, they weren't tagging him, or he was the one giving them. So I was like, oh, with everything on here, I can do purple. This is going to be great. And so I put it out there, and he was thinking about it, and he's just like, okay, well, I think I've narrowed it down to like one or a couple. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh shit, it could have been turtle, it could have been gurgle, and it could have been purple. And I was like, fuck. Multiple times we give clues and then later realize, oh shit, there's especially when you're using the wild, there's a lot of times where it was like, I had a clue that it was like G-O, my letter G-E, and I immediately was like, oh, it's gonna be gorge. And then later on, when I realized, when I was trying to spell out my word, and I was like, this isn't a word, no matter how I look at it, I started looking back at my clue, and I was like, oh shit, it was gouge, like gouge your eyes.
Wow.
And so there are definitely times when I feel that I was too very hasty on, like, oh, the first letter I thought of was, oh yes, this is the correct one, there couldn't be anything else. There was one hint I gave that I was particularly proud of, just because I found it funny, and everybody else, like, so the clue was beefy. And so, like, I spelt it out, and everybody was just like they were trying to look, and they're like, I can't think of any other word that this could be except for that. But it worked out. So they're all like, I guess that's a word, and I'm like, you're damn straight, that's a word. So
You did it.
Yeah, did it. After that, I played some cribbage. I had a bad round to start off with. After the second round, or after two hands, it was me and Sean, and it was Adrian. It was Adrian and I were playing, and then it was Paul and Sean. They had over 50 points after the second hand, and I think we had they were ahead. Sorry, they didn't have 50 points. They were ahead by 50 points after the second hand. But we somehow ended it with us having 100 points, so we didn't get skunked. So that was 100% a win in my book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of after his bullshit, his first hand was a 24 points, and then they scored a bunch from pegging, and Sean had 12 points. It was not great for us, but we hung. We actually made a valiant attempt at the end. So
that's what really matters.
Yes. After that, I played Biblios.
Biblios.
Biblios. It's the
book collecting.
No. That's the one that that's Res Arcana. Remember, that's the one that you play. No.
It's
got to
do with books or something, doesn't it?
No. No.
Yeah, making books. It's making books.
Sure. I mean, yes, but it's still. So that one is it's a drafting game and then a bidding game
with the dice.
Yes, the dice you don't roll. They start out as their numerical values on there, and then on your turn,
price or something for things.
No, so that's the point value of winning that color at the end of the game. And so on your turn, we were playing with 4 people, so you draw 5 cards one at a time. You keep 1 for yourself. You display 3 for other people to draft, and then you put 1 into the bid pile. And it's either going to be gold, which you use to bid for stuff in the bidding phase. It's going to be cards, colored cards that basically represent your your stake in that color, and whoever has the most of that color at the end of the game, or the end of the game, wins that color. And then there are cards that will increase or decrease the value of those dice. So if I see that you are getting all of the brown cards, then I can decrease brown, and so now instead of being 3 points, it'll be worth 2 or even 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting none of anything. So I ended up with 0 points at the end. I got a lot of brown cards early on, and then everybody tanked it, unsurprisingly. And
Weird.
then I was like, oh, well, maybe I should try and get this other color that I was trying to do. But while that happened, all the brown cards started coming out, and Sean kept picking them up before I had a chance to do it. So I couldn't get any brown cards. I couldn't get any of the blue cards that I was trying. So I ended up getting garbage, and I lost.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah.
But then I played another game of cribbage, and that one went better than the first one, but I can't remember who won. I think we did. But it was just a standard game of cribbage, but a lot of fun. So that is, yes, it is. That is what I've been playing.
Sweet.
Yeah. So now we can go on to some banter.
Yes.
And you were, like you said, you were doing non-board gamey stuff.
Yeah.
Like?
The long delayed Avery holiday party was yesterday.
Basically 3 months late, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was originally late January or something like that.
Oh, okay,
and
gotcha.
Then Omicron in December, they were like, nope, we're pushing it back. And so that was probably for the best. It was apparently pretty tame for the most part from previous Avery holiday parties. We did it at the Rayback Collective, which was my first time being there. It was super cool. Big bunch of cocktails, great tap list. Of course, it was all free, so I was pounding cocktails all night.
Nice.
They had this, it's called Last Spring. It was gin, vodka, honey, lemon, elderflower, and violet, which was just all I could assume was purple. It was a very purple drink. And then when I started drinking it, then everyone was like, I'm getting one of those.
Nice.
And that's kind of what I drank 5 of.
Okay.
Then I had a gin and tonic, 2 mules, and then that was it for our time allotment at Rayback. They also got a Mediterranean food truck to cater. It's all Greek to me or something like that.
Okay.
It was very delicious. It was
nice.
The perfect food for the amount of drinking that was happening. And then the stop. So then there's the Outback, which is right down the back alley near the Rayback. This is all Boulder.
Uh-huh. Right.
It was like a pool hall. They had karaoke that day. I think they brought in the karaoke because it was the unofficial after party of the holiday party, because they normally don't have karaoke on a Monday because they're not expecting like 60 plus people to swarm on a Monday night. But I think they had like much warning, and it's also not the first time that this has happened. I think the last holiday party, which was in January 2019, this was the same game plan. A lot of karaoke. It's pretty good singers. It's pretty okay singers. Nothing I remember being...
Okay.
The only bad one I remember was like a dude that was not part of Avery that was just there that wanted to sing. So that was not ideal, but
Gotcha.
And then there was someone else that went up for a song, and they sung like half the song, and then they were like, "All right, I'm done singing," and then just stopped.
I did what I wanted.
Yep. And then the guy was like, "Are you done?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm done. Just cut it. Just cut the song."
Oh, okay.
Cool.
All right.
Alrighty then. And that's where everyone turned into real shit shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People were, because I don't remember. I had heard in the past that there was no shots at the Rayback, but people were definitely doing shots at the Rayback at one point or another. But there was definitely a lot of shots happening at the Outback. I had pretty much tamped the brakes on drinking. I had two beers, and then someone got a lemon drop shot in front of me at some point or another.
Oh yeah.
That night, the guy I played Cascadia with, I was making sure he would get home because he was trashed. I was mostly holding him up towards the end of the evening, and then we got back to his place. I got him upstairs enough to, and then I crashed at their place last night, which was nice because that saved me about $50 in a lift at least minimum.
Gotcha.
Avery is reimbursing people up to $20 for every lift ride they got from there last night, though. So that was super cool. But I didn't have to worry about it. Yeah. So I took today off because
Smart move.
Fuck that. I think I had messages when I woke up on the couch this morning. They were like, "Hey, what are you going to be in? We're going to need some cans for the Reverend Run." And I was like, "I'm not in today, and I don't think anyone's in until 10 a.m." So he was like, "Heard." So good luck, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, but yesterday we had the all hands meeting. It was definitely the most Avery employees I've ever seen because they had flown in all of the salespeople from all across the country.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Even though our CEO wasn't there because because our CEO is now also Founders Brewing's CEO, and so he was in Grand Rapids, Michigan with Founders for a board meeting there with the international owners out in Spain. And so he couldn't come to the meeting, so it was like virtual, and they couldn't figure out how to get the sound to go through our sound system, so they put a mic up next to the speaker that was on the projector. Yeah. I couldn't
That's
really
always
tell.
fun when it's always
They were
funny
like,
when
any questions for Elton? And in my brain I was like, yeah, can you say that all over again? Because I don't understand any of it. Yeah. Last week, the reason I missed game night was I went to a show, which was Dance with the Dead and Magic Sword with Das Mortal. Das Mortal as an opener is fantastic because this is all synthwave, retrowave music shit.
Right.
But Das Mortal's got a bunch of really good shit, and Dance with the Dead has been a close favorite of bands I listen to. It's definitely my snowboard music. But their new setup for their live show is very impressive. The previous time I saw him, it was just the guy that does guitar tracks for the synth stuff, and then the guy on synth. But now they had the guy doing guitar, and it was just fucking solo after solo after solo, and it was fucking awesome. But now they have a drummer on there, and it's not just like a drum machine. So it's like live drums, and then they have the guy on the synth, but the guy on the synth also comes out and does like rhythm guitar out on stage too. So we had like dual jobs, and so it was like a big fucking show. And the only other group I had seen do that was Carpenter Brute, because they had drums, guitar. But I think Dance with the Dead has I love Carpenter Brute, but I think Dance with the Dead is officially better than Carpenter Brute.
Really?
They've leapt up, especially after seeing that show. And I haven't really been thrilled with a lot of the Carpenter Brute albums that have come out. There's only been two.
The third one's supposed to come out in April, so that's good.
There was Leather Teeth, and now Leather Terror is the upcoming album.
Yeah.
There's 2 tracks from that out right now, and neither I've been I didn't love. So
I liked the whichever one. I forget which one it's called. Let me look it up real quick.
The Widowmaker or Imaginary Fire?
Widowmaker probably.
Okay.
But like I said, I've apparently the ones I like are the one-off ones.
Yeah.
Imaginary Fire. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like a lot of lyrics in my synthwave music.
That's understandable.
Which is why I really like Dance with the Dead, because they just fucking rip the whole time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I keep all of both of the Carpenter Brute albums. I just like the first song of each of them the best. And I remember I told you that, and you were like, "Really?"
Yeah. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Dance with the Dead. That's another 7 albums that you can get the first track off of each album and really enjoy those.
There we go.
Yeah. Except War, because that one just goes immediately, instantaneously. It's just fucking boom. But the latest Dance with the Dead album had an introduction by John Carpenter in the first song, so they played that first, and that was cool. And then there was Magic Sword, who I've really enjoyed, but the show is clearly like two headliners, Dance with the Dead and Magic Sword. Everyone was clearly there to see Dance with the Dead.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Magic Sword went on after Magic Sword went on after Dance with the Dead, and the place didn't really like clear out, but there was a lot more room to stand in the place.
Gotcha.
There was a bunch of like lightsabers. I don't know. People had a lot of magic swords, maybe? Yeah, but they were clearly lightsabers. Those cheap foldable plastic kind, you know.
Oh yeah. They weren't the $250 ones that you can get from like fucking.
Someone brought one of those though, because
nice.
I had seen them earlier in the show, and I was like, "Oh, that's one of those nice ones."
Yeah,
because they were using it to like see in the dark, except it's extremely bright.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I've seen several of them on TikTok, and I'm like, "Oh, that looks real nice."
Yeah,
it's a good thing that Legos keep getting like keep coming out with new sets, so I can't waste money on that.
Can't start buying on lightsabers.
Exactly.
They'll
go well with my Maul katana swords that I have.
Your nunchuck collection.
Mm-hmm.
I did stay till the end of the Magic Sword set, but it was... I mean, Dance with the Dead was already a showstopper. It would have been real hard coming on after them. Because they're... Like, Dance with the Dead just fucking ripped, and then it's sort of just kind of like moody synth music, and it's just not the same.
Take it down a notch, yeah.
Yeah. But they also had a similar setup. They had a drummer, guitar player, synth player, that were all quite good.
Gotcha.
And then I ran into the synth guy from Dance with the Dead as I was walking to my car, gave him a fist bump, said it was awesome, and that was awesome. He had just been previously asked for an autograph, and he was like, no. Because he was just like standing in a back alley or something talking with some people.
Right.
Like, can I have your autograph? And like, I don't have anything to autograph. Sorry. I think that's about it.
Has there been another Formula One?
Oh yeah, there has been another Formula One. That was Sunday morning, which feels like forever ago.
Yes.
All right, so this Formula One race, this was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. This was the second to last race from last year, and it was quite dramatic. A lot of crashes and red flags. It's a street circuit, but it's all like just concrete barriers. There's like not very much runoff. It's one of the fastest street tracks on the calendar, period. This one came in with a bit of a shocker on qualifying, where Sergio Perez, and that's the Red Bull's other driver besides Max Verstappen, ended up getting pole. Max Verstappen ended up getting fourth. Which,
oh, wow.
Yeah. With the Ferraris in their second and third. Also, during...
Is Mercedes still doing bad?
They're not doing great. Lewis Hamilton ended up 10th, which still got him a point. But he asked on the radio, he's like, is that even a point? And then George Russell, who did better, got 5th, I think? 5th or 6th? There was still like 5 or 6 retirements, though, so only like 14 or 15 cars finished. One didn't start, because when they were doing, even before the formation lap, they kind of do a once around to get onto the grid, where everyone's doing like the track walks and all the celebrities come out and look at the cars, and
gotcha.
He died before he even got there. Mick Schumacher got into a really, really bad crash over on qualifying, hit the curb and slammed into the wall at like 170 miles an hour or something nuts, like destroyed the car. It was super worrying because he hadn't gotten out of the car at all after the medical car got there and the ambulance got there, and then he was still in the car. Mm-hmm. And usually they get out of the car and then you can tell they're fine, but it was a bit worrying because no one knew if he was like conscious or but the medical team had just kept him in the car to make sure he was okay because of all the sensors and stuff that happen nowadays. They know how hard he got hit, and they were like,
right.
And they had no communication with him at all because the car was instantaneously trashed and lost all telemetry. He ended up showing up the next day for the race, but did not race. They're going to save their money and take the 2 weeks to repair the car for Australia, which will be the first time in Australia since COVID, because it used to always be the first race of the year, and they've not done it because COVID restrictions for the last few years.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if they didn't run it this year, then I think they would have lost their F1 contract, and Australia would never happen again. The racing was good. In the new regulations are doing great. People can follow. People can attack each other lap after lap after lap. You even saw teammates racing each other.
Okay.
The Alpines were actually fighting for position against each other, because usually one is usually faster and the team's just let the other guy go, but they were both about the same on pace, so they were actually fighting for position, maybe fighting for position so much that another guy came from behind them and was all right, now I'm gonna fight you guys. And that was really good. Sergio Perez was in first. Ferrari was gonna pit, and then they bluffed and didn't pit, and then Sergio Perez did pit, so that let the guy in second place go into first while he pitted, but just as after he pitted, someone crashed, bringing out a safety car, which may put him down to fourth.
Ooh.
Because the safety car kind of backs everyone up, and basically he took the maximum amount of time to do the thing, where if you have behind a safety car, a pit stop can be 14 seconds time lost, where a pit stop in regular race conditions is 20 plus seconds. So he lost that much time and ended up in fourth. It was just super unlucky. It was the guy's first pole position in 11 years of racing in Formula One. He's had wins and he has had plenty of podiums, but he's just never gotten a pole position before. So this was his pole position race for first place. He was doing great. He was holding on to first, and then got fucked. Just bad timing for his pit. But that basically turned the race back into Ferrari's driver, Charles Leclerc, however you want to fucking call it. He's from Monaco. And then Max Verstappen. They were fighting each other just like the last race, just back and forth every lap, just going at it. And then Max Verstappen ended up winning. Got his first win. Both Red Bulls finished, so they actually had points because they both DNF'd last race. Hamilton qualified like shit. He was in 16th position. He got up to 10th during the race. Mercedes is in trouble for being competitive, but they're going to be developing the car throughout the season, so we'll see. Haas got another points position. I think it was 9th or 8th or something like that. If you've watched Drive to Survive and you've seen Gunther Steiner, their team principal, he was on a podcast or something and was chatting with those guys, and he was yeah, we got 2 points today, and last year I would have hugged everyone on the pit lane for 2 points. Now, what he said may have been hugged, but it may have also been fucked. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because that was the Russian fuckhead and Mick Schumacher in a bad car last year. And now they're in 4th or 5th place for constructors, so they're doing great.
There you go.
2 weeks before the next race in Australia. So, doubleheader's done. Yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Formula One continues to be good.
There you go.
It was not good for apparently a lot of years, but last year was legendary, and this year's entertaining so far.
It's because you started watching.
Yeah.
You're oh shit, we gotta...
This fucking guy.
This fucking guy has got a podcast with tens of listeners. We can't disappoint them.
There are dozens of us.
We also had, and one reason why we actually, because we're recording on Tuesday, one reason we didn't record on Monday was because it was the finale of Sumo.
Yes.
That we were watching.
And that was Sunday, yes.
Yes. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. We didn't record yesterday because I had to get hammered.
Yes.
Instead.
Exactly. But this has been a good. This has been a good tournament. It was very interesting. Well, it was pretty crazy to. Well, not crazy, but for Terra no Fuji, the Yokozuna, which is like the big dog.
Yes, of which there is currently only one.
Yeah. And it's like an honorary title. Like, you're so good that it's just like you can basically never lose that position.
Yeah, the only thing is if you, I think you will be asked to step down if you ended up being so bad or something like that.
Yeah, but I think it's like in a retirement way, not
yes.
Like, once you get it, you don't really lose it.
Yeah.
But he went out after like day 6 due to injury. There
he
are a good amount
like
of injuries
in a row.
Yeah. There were a good amount of injuries, like at least 3 or 4 that I saw in the main league, and like most of them, everybody else except for him ended up coming back near the end. But it was a good tournament. There were a lot of really good, really good matches. One of my there was a guy who we affectionately called Mob Boss because he looks like a fucking he looks like an Italian mobster, but
Yeah, I don't remember,
but Japanese.
Where he's from.
He's from Japan.
Okay.
But he looks like an Italian mobster. And he gives the first couple, like the first 3 or 4 fights that I saw, he was just like it felt like super nonchalant about just like completely like not like wrecking the guy, because I mean it's not like a wreck. You're just you're pushing them out of a ring or making them fall down. But like he did it so effortlessly that it was very, very much. I don't know why, but it just as soon as someone said Mob Boss, I'm like, this fits perfectly. But he was doing like he had. I think at that point it was like 12-1, but he was fighting against the guy who was basically had the best chance of getting to catching up to him. Like they ended up fighting or having a match, and he ended up losing to him, which was very much was needed in order for him to not just sweep.
Yeah.
And then on the final day, they were both 12-2, and they needed to
Takayasu is the name of the
yeah, and then Wakataka Kage. Wakataka Kage. They were both tied for first. And if one of them won and one of them did not win, or if both of them won or both of them lost, there was going to be a tiebreaker. And then if one of them won and the other one didn't, then that was going to be it. They won. They won the basho. And they ended up both. And it was what was his name again? Sorry,
Takayasu.
He ended up going first, and he lost his match. So if Wakataka Kage won his, then it was good. He ended up losing to another wrestler or another Sumo named Shodai, who like the first half of the tournament he had like a 1-6 record, 1-7 record. It was 1-6, and then he basically just won all the rest of his bouts, which was crazy because he was an Ozeki, which is the second highest rank, but it's like the highest normal rank. But if you lose,
you can only go to Yokozuna after that, really.
Yeah. And once again, like you said, it's like you're invited to become it. Whereas that one, it's like once you become an Ozeki, if you have losing records for 2 tournaments in a row, then you get knocked down. So he had a losing record last one, and so he was and it looked like he was going to have a losing record on this one, but then he ended up basically sweeping the second house. Yeah, 9-6, which was crazy given his first 7 fights or his 7 bouts.
Yeah.
And so it came down to a tiebreaker fight. And also, as an aside, the third place person, there were 2 people that were tied for third place, and it was the guy who just became Ozeki on this tournament,
Mitaki Yumi,
and then
Kotonowaka.
Babyface. The babyface is
Yes.
Yeah. He is just a young sumo. But he, like, if he had won his fight or his match, then he would have tied with them. So it would have 3-way tie, but I'm sure everybody, including him, was like, there's no way they're both going to lose their match. And so he tried to win his, obviously, but he got knocked out. So he was out and he got third.
He was 11-3 against Hoshoryu, who was 7-7. So he needed a win to get a winning record for this Basho.
Exactly.
And I think Hoshoryu was even somewhat in the running from the previous Basho, I think.
Yeah. It was an important one that he ended up winning. So then it became down to a tie. Like it was a
tiebreaker match.
Tiebreaker match for the winning record for 12-3
for the whole tournament.
For the whole tournament, and I have to say I felt that was the best match of the entire tournament too. Like, there's been a lot of times when it's literally like they start and then after like 1 or 2 seconds a guy's down or he's out of the ring. But this one lasted about 30 or 40 seconds, and the footwork from Wakataka Kage. Yeah.
It's like Hokage.
Yes, like Hokage, but then Wakataka in front of it.
Yes.
But like his footwork was crazy. There were multiple times where it felt like one person was like on the ropes to win, and then he ended up being able to reverse other guy's name. Not Terrano. You just had it. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't remember the name.
Hang on. We're looking at Takayasu.
Yeah. He ended up turning his throw around, and then he was able to flip him out of the match. It was a great one, and he ended up winning, well deserved. And it was I was very glad to have to be able to catch that one live. Quote unquote, you know what I mean by live? Stream live.
Yeah.
Because it's our friend listener of the show. He streams those. So.
Ofer. Tulios on Twitch.
Yeah.
So we have 2 weeks of, nightly sports watching.
Yep. Yeah.
And then 6 weeks of nothing.
6 weeks of nothing.
The winner went 12-3, which was not ideal, but Terano Fuji, due to the injury, ended up 3-3-9 because injury, basically those 9 are just sort of voided.
Yep.
Ofer's favorite, Meisei, went 1-14, which is one of the worst I've seen that is not injury related, where they drop out.
Yep.
And
then our one of the stream's favorites, Toshinoshin, who's from Georgia. No, it's not Georgia. That's the other guy. Bulgaria, maybe. But he's one of the few like non-Japanese or Mongolian sumos, like currently, at least in the highest rank, the Makuchi. Is that Makuchi? Rank? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Georgian.
He is Georgian. Okay. He was getting real close to, if he had a bad record in this tournament, in this Basho, he would have been relegated to the lower
Jurio,
the like lower ranked one, and so
from
it was
Makuchi.
good. Yes. And so it was good for him to get a winning record on that one. And at one point, there's like
he was an Ozeki at one point as well.
Yeah, he's like 35, 36, so he's definitely
34.
34.
Yeah.
God, fuck my age. God damn it.
Yep.
He looks like, I'm like, oh, he looks so old and veteran.
Well, he's 6'3.5".
Yep.
388 pounds.
Yeah, and he definitely, one of my favorite moments in the entire Basho was him basically picking up this guy, like the Georgian forklift. He just picks him up literally almost at a 90-degree angle and then just sets him on the outside of the ring.
Yes, like no problem. Just
because there's nothing you can really do.
Out.
Yeah. Once you're up there, you're just like, I can't do anything. All you can do is
kick and hope he drops you.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
apparently that's not the first time he's done that. So
no, I'm not surprised. But the next one is going to be right around Geekway and MHCC. So it'll be nice to actually watch some of that stuff, like do an actual watch party of it versus just, watch it on stream, on Twitch. So
yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah. But that's basically what I got. I built a coffee table that has a it's a lift top one. So like I can just sit in a chair behind it and like it lifts up and then it's basically like table size.
Neat.
And by built, I mean exactly the same way that Paul does when he builds things in his workshop. 100%. I mean it that way, not anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Raw materials.
Cutting, measuring. Definitely not just screwing in things. Definitely not.
Yep. Totally.
And then I've been rewatching the Scream movies.
Because why not?
Well, because I never watched Scream 5 when it came out, and
I never watched really any of them. Maybe I watched the first one, but you know what? I have not watched it in so long, maybe, that I don't even remember who the killer is. So
hey, they're basically like murder whodunits.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through 4 right now. I think 1 definitely still holds up in as much as like it's as good as it. It's still as good as it was. However you feel how good it was back then, I feel like it won't change much. But and then the 2 and 3, they have good parts. 3 definitely gets a lot, like that's when they really start laying into the more meta part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in 3, where it's it's a movie about making a movie.
Gotcha.
And yeah, they've been enjoyable. I watched Scream 3 while I was building that table. So
okay.
Yeah, it's that kind of movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't, besides Horizon, I started watching DMZ. Did I talk about DMZ last week?
You did. Yes,
okay.
You did.
I've continued to watch DMZ. DMZ continues to still be good.
Nice.
It's kind of one of those mid-level TV show kind of things, but it's on HBO Max, so it's...
Gotcha. Did you watch Halo? Did you watch the first episode of that?
No, I have not watched Halo, but I have not heard good things about Halo either.
I watched it, and that sucks. It sucks because I'm a big fan of that franchise, and
I also love Halo.
Especially that was the first game or any other media thing where I was like, oh, I need to read more about it, and I ended up buying the books.
Yeah.
Get all that background stuff. And it has some good parts. It looks real good, but it also looks real cheap at times. It's definitely not doing a 1-for-1 story. The story is pretty. They only have the first episode, so I can't tell you how different it gets. But the intro part was like, oh, this is a lot more different. This is a lot different than stuff that happened in the novels or in the games, any of that stuff.
Yeah, they've said that they're gonna not really hold to the source material as much.
Yeah, which is fine. It sucks because it's the games have a good story. At least some of them do.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep watching, but I definitely, it's not. It is so squarely in the middle for me that I just can't recommend it right now until I see where it's going.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah. And there are some people complaining about oh, he takes his helmet off, blah, blah, and it's yeah, well, in the game, games where it's harder to do that. And especially with the Mandalorian around, you don't want to be oh, it's another guy with a helmet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's only a 9-episode season or something like that.
Yeah.
Mid to late May, we'll find out how that goes. Moon Knight's out soon too, right?
I'll be watching it in 4 hours.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And Star Trek Picard still sucks.
Oh, does it? The second season didn't
help? It's better. It's way better, but it still sucks.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the storyline has removed them from any, that era timeline, so, the whole thing is, Q is back, if you're not familiar.
I remember Q, yeah.
Q. He's omnipotent. And then, the whole world changes to where instead of the Federation, it's the Confederation. And now
Oh, I don't like that name.
Yeah. I think StarCraft had that same name, too.
Gotcha.
Anyways. But then they're like, they get transported to this other time, and then Picard is like a legendary, like, mass murderer general guy, and it just so happens that all the characters are in, places of power, but their brains have just been sort of teleported into that universe, and then they're still from the other universe, and they're like, we have to go back in time and fix whatever happened in 2024, and
2024.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we'll
you
see.
Keep doing you, Star Trek. You keep doing you.
Yeah. But it's still like alternate 2024, because it's the 2024 where time science is more advanced, because they have like missions to Ganymede and stuff like that. So it's definitely the Star Trek 2024.
Gotcha.
Not right now, us 2024. But yeah, it still sucks. But I'll watch it. And that's it for banter.
Now that's it.
Yes. We're going to move on to news and Kickstarters then. And first up in news, they announced this a while ago, but Star Wars Outer Rim finally has details for its expansion. I think people have been asking for this expansion for a while now too.
Yeah. Well, it's classic Fantasy Flight where they release a game and then it
Clearly needs an expansion.
Game. Clearly needs an expansion. Not enough cards, and when you know it, this one says it's doubling the amount of cards in the game, and then new features that it's like, oh, that makes it more interesting now. It makes it feel more like a game. Because the previous one is it's a giant. So the Outer Rim it's a giant like thin board that is in a like half circle, and you're going from one side to the other and back, just trying to get fame points or whatever they call it. You're doing jobs, you're getting money, you're buying ships, you're upgrading stuff. Classic Fantasy Flight things. And then at the end of your turn, you like get oh god, what's the game? Eldritch Arkham Horror. Like you get like little story bite things, and you're trying to make decisions and stuff based on those.
I see.
So this one is adding it's adding new people like normal. It's also adding core worlds at the end of each of the half circles that like link up with each other, which is good because it sucked when you're on one corner and you got a card that was like, hey, you need to go all the way to the fucking other side for whatever reason. So this helps you link between the two. You have like you can either interact with the core worlds or you can try and use them to do that shortcut, but they're controlled by the Imperials. So if you are if you're not good with them, if you're sort of hunted by them, that's going to be bad news for you, or hard for you to get through. But that shortcut is very wide. It's very well appreciated. It's adding new people. Chewbacca is a person you can play as now.
Cad Bane.
Yeah, good old Cad Bane. From his short appearance on a show.
Also, and his very long appearances on the Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you can make Boba Fett part of your crew as well. And you can and Han Solo as well.
Yeah.
As long as somebody else isn't playing them, which is always that reminds me of Marvel Champions of like, oh, you can have people as your they can help you as long as somebody else isn't actually playing them.
Yeah.
As long as they don't have agency, you can use them. And then it's adding a couple new things too. It's besides just the new ships, jobs, market cards, encounters, and whatnot. There's expanded single player. I haven't played a single player, so I don't know how that is. But it's adding favors into this game. So those you can when you're trying to like at any point in the game, you could be like, hey, can I get a favor from you? And it's like you can pay money or items or something like that. But the favor is like you can get one of the player's skills for a test, or you're being endorsed by that player for a faction that they have positive reputation with, and so you get that reputation. And then they can choose to refuse that request for a favor if you have another player's debt token, which is if you've done a favor for somebody, like you have that token, they have to grant your request. So That's like a lot of games have like
I've seen John Wick.
Yeah, exactly. It's a marker.
Yes.
Your marker's getting called.
Yep.
And then it has ambitions. So once again, the base game is just like once you get up to 10 fame or whatever it's called, that's you win the game and that's it. So this one actually sort of gives you a
Story?
a story. Yeah, basically a story that you have to go through. It's a bunch of different objectives you have to hit. So it's like you have to do an encounter on a certain space, then then you're going to another part, then you have to have certain reputation, and then you're just doing final encounters and stuff like that. But it's giving you an actual plot, a through line for the game versus just sort of doing whatever until you get points. It's giving you objectives, and it looks like this one is called the Hero of the Rebellion. And I'm assuming other people are like there'll be other ones that are all going to have unique things that you're trying to do. So because if the player completes it, they win the game. Yeah, because I'm assuming it's not like we all have the same ambition. Then I'm assuming that everybody has their own one. So yeah, but this is a very welcome expansion to this game. After Wes and I played it like once or twice, it's like you play it and like if it's good, but it needs more to be something more worthwhile. So
yeah, I was trying to figure out when the original one came out.
3 or 4 years ago, I want to say
2019.
Yeah, I was gonna say like in my mind I was like 2 years. Oh no, 2 years ago was 2020. Definitely not then.
Yeah, so we probably saw it at that 2019 Gen Con for the first time.
Yep.
Or 2018. I don't know.
Yep.
Anyways,
but definitely looking forward to playing. That's a game like the base game is one that like someone has asked me like, hey, you want to bring this and play it? And it's like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll play it. But now, like, I definitely want to play it with this new stuff.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I own the game. I just haven't played it. So.
Yeah, I just like that it's called Unfinished Business, and in my mind, it's like the unfinished business part was like the unfinished game. So now it's a finished game.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Next up on news, if you're a fan of the show, we've done these Dredd things before. It's a Jenga-based RPG system that Adrian tried to save a literal $1 by getting the shittier version instead of the actual Jenga set. But you pull blocks to do tests, and if the whole thing falls over, bad things happen. But there's a new, very interesting version of Dredd coming out. Dredd, as in Judge Dredd. I am pretty excited because I have read through a lot of the comics over the past couple of years. Comics been going, as it says in the article here, since 1977. One of the cool things about Judge Dredd and the whole 2000 AD thing is time actually moves at the speed of regular time in there. So, like, Judge Dredd is getting older as things go on.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Which is an interesting way to do things. It'll be coming out on March 30th. It's
already out. It's already out by the time you hear this.
Yes. Yeah, there's a bunch of like weird stuff like that, but there's a bunch of playthroughs on the Rebellion Unplugged set. It is going to be a digital release only. It's a one-shot scenario.
And it looks like people, like the players are characters living in the shadow of the Statue of Judgment.
Yes.
So it's not like anybody. I'm assuming nobody's like a judge or anything like that. You're just people trying to live.
Yeah. They don't really go into too much detail of exactly what's going to be happening. A new gameplay mechanic inspired by the Dredd setting. 4 to 6 players, a GM-like host. Yeah, I'm down for that. You're taking on the roles of democracy activists.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good.
Who must reveal damaging secrets about the Justice Department to the city's public by broadcasting them at an arrow ball game.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah. Someone's gonna get blasted.
Yeah.
No doubt. Knowing Dredd, you're usually gonna be getting killed, so. There is a short, they call it a gameplay, video, but it's not really a video. And it's only like $10, maybe less, 750 euros, whatever that comes out to freedom dollars. Yeah, Dredd.
Dredd.
I'm getting it.
Yep, there you go.
That's it for news. Moves us on to crowdfunding, which we only have Kickstarters, so. First up in the crowdfunding, I had to look up how to pronounce it, and it's basically Undici, which is Italian for 11 or something like that, but it's like UND1C1.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The best soccer game ever.
Yeah. So it's a soccer Kickstarter. It's pretty well funded. $173,000 of its $7,100 goal. 1,700 backers. Little under 2 weeks left to back this one, which you can get for about $76. So it's 2-player, competitive, 45-60 minutes, soccer game, football.
Yes.
Football.
Correct. Neoprene playmat.
Yes. Also, they call it soccer from top to bottom on this.
Yes.
It just seems weird for me to especially because
they mentioned 3 Italian guys.
Yes. So it would be like, we're making a football game, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. That's the first of weird things in this.
Maybe because they're trying to give it more towards like the USA audience or something like that.
I guess.
I don't know.
But it comes with a big neoprene soccer pitch, playmat, 2 teams, tokens, cards, ball, dice, rulebook, etc. Each of the tokens represents a player on the pitch. The pitch sort of reminds me of it's all like square grids. Kind of reminds me of that flicking tennis game.
Oh,
where you have like the sectors in there, but you're not using flicking or anything like that in this. You're strategically moving around all of your players. All of those players are represented by these discs, who all have different of like the 7 different tenets of soccer, or whatever you want to call it. Some dudes are fast. Some dudes are good shooters. Some dudes are tractors.
Some dudes are wizards. It all makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. But each of those 11 tokens represents the 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah.
There's numbers on the pitch that are like in front and around the goal. I assume those are modifiers for shooting, things like that. You'll be playing. Get to it. You get 3 actions. You place 2 padlocks. The padlocks are important because that will man mark opponent players to prevent them from stepping on certain boxes.
Yeah, it's sort of just blocking them slightly from going in certain spots.
And then you'll play various cards of these different strategy decks. And then the game ends when both coaches run out of cards in their decks. And then a team must have scored more goals than the opponent by the time this happens in order to win the match. I can only assume there will be ties a lot, like there is in soccer.
Yeah.
So you'll be moving your tokens. There's action boxes, like shooting, crossing, hitting a header. Those have to be done in specific action boxes. There's passing quadrants, which are groups of 4 boxes the same color.
And it's basically like for marking difficulty, because pretty much everything you do except for movement, when it's of action-wise, you have a die that you have to roll in order to be successful. And so I'm sure like the cards will modify some of that stuff in some way. There are certain things people are better at, like you were saying, and so I'm sure those tied to someone like Aries. You know what that is in regards to soccer. So
yeah, but I mean they're literally like archer, playmaker, paw, gladiator, viper, cannon, Aries, and wizard.
Yeah.
Their special abilities, like the archer gives you +2 every time that player attempts to cross on the die roll. So the cannon lets you get a +1 when shooting a goal from far away.
Yeah.
But the play cards, the strategy cards, go like athleticism, pass, cross, coach, tackling, shooting, dribbling, and saving. Dribbling is, I assume, the wizard, because it's the same color.
Yeah.
But something that I thought was, this is the next weird thing, you get a bunch of strategy cards to start with, but you can get mystery packs of like 10 cards or 20 cards or something like that as an add-on, and I was like, 2 extra card decks, so 10 each, plus 6 playbook cards. I'm like, are they like blind draw random strategy card decks? Like, are you going to be constructing strategy decks for your teams?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Cool, but I never want
to do that.
Mystery packs for anything.
They're trying to make this the next Magic. So
yeah. There's you get 2 teams, but there's another like 12 teams you can get on top of that. That all have their own colors and such. They're all not real teams, I assume.
They're ones that look similar to some real teams, but then not actual to it. So like this one, Sagranda, like Rodal, Rodal Mijo. Oh no, Rodal Mijo. I don't know. Yeah, but it looks like I can't remember his name. Never mind. Just going on. Yeah,
moving along.
But yeah, moving along. Yeah, so and the 2 base ones, the white team and the black team, they're both like balanced, but I'm sure these extra add-on teams, like they'll be like an aggressive playstyle or a defensive or like more focused on passing or something like that. So
yeah, it's interesting. You can get like an actual like DC soccer jersey if you want that has the logo, which looks cool. I like the colors.
Does, yeah.
But yeah, it seems interesting. The dice stuff kind of is to me. I mean, Blood Bowl has dice, of course. It seems like this also has ways to mitigate that with making certain players do certain things. It also seems, I don't know, it seems cool, but the game seems to be built around this weird competitive mystery pack, get your teams, build your team, deck construction stuff. I was like, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I think
it's expensive.
Like even on here, just the Kickstarter edition, it comes with 2 decks of 30 cards each, but you're only allowed to keep 20 in your actual deck, so it's already like there's some construction there if you want it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe do the mystery one if you're like, I want more just in case or whatever, but it seems like that would be enough.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it says it's coming out June? Like,
yeah, as in like 3 months from now.
Okay.
So we'll see how.
Yeah,
like I mean, they've got it ready. It's just all ready.
It's all. Why Kickstarter then, huh?
How else are they going to show off that sweet shirt?
Yeah. Apparently they already have like 50 copies ready to go, and you can get there was something. No, it's just different prices. So you have like a super Kickstarter price. It's like $65 versus. So you save $11.
Yeah,
but that's probably.
I think it's just getting on it early.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically just using it as pre-order on this one. So
they sure are.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's nothing less than what our next Kickstarter is doing.
Yep.
Which is Terraforming Mars, the card game, Ares Expedition, Discovery, Foundations, Crisis.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Absolutely. So it's a bunch of expansions for Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. Extremely well funded. $586,000 of its $20,000 goal. 7,900 backers. About less than a week left to pledge this one, which you can get for $49. So this is the Terraforming Mars card game, which we enjoyed.
Yes.
This is adding 3 mini expansions.
Basically, yeah.
One is just more base game stuff.
Yeah.
Discovery.
And it makes it more like it's adding more things from Terraforming Mars into this.
Yeah.
So like awards, milestones, wild tags, and drafts and drafting. So
as well as expanding the phase cards. There will be new upgradable phase cards that you can upgrade through various new means in the game. So your Race for the Galaxy action cards, there will be like different, better ones. Because you only get the bonus when you play the card, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the ability will stay the same, but the bonus will be better, I guess.
Yeah, better for you. And then you get those via either new corporations or project cards that'll let you upgrade those.
Yeah, there's 4 more corporations, 38 more project cards. Then there is Ares Expedition Crisis, which makes it fully cooperative for the game. It'll have a new co-op board, all these crisis tokens.
Crisis alert.
Yes. So there's going to be a deck of crisis cards that you'll be going through. New dummy cards, which aren't super well explained, but there's co-op specific corporations, war dividers. But yeah, you're fighting against all of these various crises that will, once I can find it, players are working together to keep Mars habitable after a natural disaster has landed the planet in crisis. We have to achieve certain goals to remove the crisis. Where's an example? So, biodiversity loss. Persistent water goes down 1. Each player loses 2 mega credits, decrease the temperature 1 step, and then the goal, increase the oxygen or discard 4 plants from during the action phase to remove a counter, and then it will have a certain amount of counters on there. Like this example will have 2 on there, so if together you raise oxygen twice or discarding 8 plants, you'll get the crisis removed. When you complete the goals, it'll be just discard the card, and then there's a bunch of new rules for how to make it work cooperatively. And you win if, like, Dwindling Supplies Crisis card has come out in the deck, and all 3 terraforming metrics are completed. If you end up, because the cooperative board has new tracks, basically, if the track drops below the bottom, you lose. And then if you have to flip an ocean tile face down, and all of them are already face down. So, like, if you have no water, you have no temperature, you have no oxygen, or
you have unterraformed.
Yes, and then if you need to draw a crisis card, but the deck is empty and the terraforming metrics are not completed, you also lose. It seems like an interesting variant. The crisis cards are the couple examples they have seem kind of basic, but it's fine.
I do like that it's just like, hey, as a note, awards and milestones aren't used in Crisis, but you can use the advanced play variant, but don't use drafting.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of the majority of stuff that was introduced in the last or in that first expansion stuff, you can't use them with this one.
And then there's Foundations. So that adds 5 and 6 player components, the infrastructure track, and then more project cards. So Foundations, it's adding a supplemental scoreboard, the infrastructure track, which looks like
it's an additional thing.
It's another terraform metric,
I
guess, because it has like a percentage of infrastructure, I guess.
Yeah, it must be completed before the game ends.
Yeah,
and there's new project cards that increase it, and then there's 2 standard actions that can increase it. So it's cool that you have 2 different standard actions instead of just the one.
Yeah,
because it's 5 money or 15 money, 15 mega credits, or 5 heat and 3 plants. So
some new project cards specific to infrastructure, the 5th and 6th player cards, the upgraded 5th and 6th player cards. So yeah, you get to just play more with more people. And of course, there's a zillion add-ons. You can get all the old Terraforming Mars stuff. You can get all the sleeves, the metal resources, enough, I guess, for like extra players. And this is where it gets confusing. So the new Crisis Accessory pack, you can get Crisis project cards playable with Crisis with unique card back. Simplifies setup for playing Crisis.
Yeah, that I'm not sure, especially because they offer like sleeves. I don't like. I'm not sure why it needs its own unique back, other than just, hey, these are the crisis cards. Like,
Yeah, like, so it explains a little better underneath. The accessory pack contains duplicates of 213 project cards from Ares Expedition that are usable in crisis mode so that you can skip the separation step. So you get you can get another copy of the game to play only with crisis, so you don't have to worry about separating out the cards, I guess?
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha.
Sure. They got extra cards, they'll sell you a whole second game so you can play that other game instead of having to separate cards.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they have added that in since when I first looked at this when it launched. I was like, I'm really confused by that.
Yeah. I'm looking at Crisis, and I can't tell if you can do the Crisis mode with 5 or 6 players. I have a feeling it doesn't look like you can. So once again, it's like this co-op one, you can't use a lot of stuff from that first expansion, and you can't really use stuff from that second expansion.
Yeah, it's weird. Then you can get the neoprene playmats, which I have, which we've never used, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
So now I have to buy another 2 of those for 5 and 6 players, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, $15 shipping. You can get the original on here too.
And it also even sells you. You can get the dual layer boards if you have like the Target version of Ares Expedition. So I guess that just came with regular boards.
Yeah, I remember that was a big to-do because it hit Target before it got to backers, and it was supposed to be like the non-fancy version was the Target version. It had like a less fancy box. Also, this comes with a new box to like help organize all of it.
Gotcha.
A redesigned game board with larger spaces
bigger.
And Kickstarter exclusive card trays that fit sleeved cards. But I haven't really looked inside mine to really think about that in a while. So, but yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of promos and shit for this. That's kind of they have daily unlocks, no real stretch goals. It's just day to day. Yeah, I don't know if I want to get sleeves.
Or not?
Well, I'll probably get it, but like, I don't think I really need to sleeve the game. I don't need the metal resource tokens. Yeah, more Terraforming Mars. People like that.
Yeah,
it's doing all right.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's living its best life.
Absolutely. And that's it for everything.
Yes, it is.
Which means we're done.
Yep,
we're all done here.
Yes, we are. You know how to reach us.
Twitter at MHGameGuys. Zach is.
Yep, I'm Zach_MHGG,
and I'm Jeff_MHGG.
We got emails
at milehighgameguys.com.
Facebook, there's some stuff on there. We have our Board Game Geek Guild.
2731.
There it is.
Not that we post on there ever. So.
Well, we posted on there when we were doing streaming stuff, but we haven't done streaming stuff in forever.
Snowboard season, apparently.
Yep. Yeah. And as you can see, Adrian is off just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Eating hot chicken in Dallas.
Yep.
He's probably crapping his pants right now.
Probably. He went all the way up to medium. All right, so give him some.
Have you had this chicken before?
No, I haven't had this one.
Okay.
No, I remember the one we had from Oakland. The medium that I had from there, I was like, oh shit, okay, it's not fucking around.
That pop up.
Yeah, that pop up one.
Yeah.
That
took forever.
Yes.
What was it? An hour, 45 minutes waiting?
See, we got for that one, you just had to, because that was the second time I had it, you just gotta be at a random spot, and then it literally pulls up to you. That's what that's the go-to move. That's what Rick and I did on our first time having it. So you didn't strategize well enough.
Clearly.
We're on Punchboard Media for a little bit longer, but
yep.
I don't know when that ends.
End of April?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then we have links for all of our stuff in
show notes
and stuff like that. That's where our Slack channel is. It's good.
Everyone daily deducts.
Yep.
And I post pictures from the Avery holiday party while hammered. I'm 99% sure I didn't make an ass of myself at any point. I'm 99.99% sure a couple of my coworkers did.
Oh, yeah. That sounds right. Yeah.
I think that's it.
All right. Sounds good. As always, Adrian's, doing Adrian shit.
Yep. No one cares about that.
No one cares about that. I'm still Zach.
And I'm Broom Broom Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.